All right, welcome back to another episode of the Freedom Lovin' Podcast. This is Kevin, and it's number 76. And in just a minute, I'm going to talk about the 5 ways that traveling can be a boost to your business. So thanks for listening. I've been away for a couple weeks, busy traveling. I am now in Croatia, in Dubrovnik, in the most southern part of Croatia, and it is a really hot day today. It's in the 90s Fahrenheit with a lot of humidity, and the sun is always out here. Actually, it rains a little bit in the afternoon usually, but it's been a real hot one, and it's absolutely beautiful place. But I'll talk about that in just a second. A couple things. If you're like me and you want to get the knowledge from business books, but you really just don't want to take the time to read, check out 100mustreads.com. It's audio and PDF business book summaries for busy and lazy entrepreneurs like me. So, and also, if you want to find out about how to do business anonymously with a New Mexico LLC, send me an email at kevin@freedomlovin.com, and we can go over just how it works and all the freedoms that it gives you, and I can get you a discount as well on the LLC. So that's something I really believe in, and I want to see more people taking advantage of that because it's one of those legal loopholes that not many people know about. I'm a true believer in it. So anyway, so I've been bouncing around a little bit. I was in Prague for 2 weeks and mostly just working and walking around, going to a few meetings, but wasn't doing a lot of tourist stuff. Then went to Budapest, hung out with a friend there for the first couple of days, and then put my head down, did some work for a couple days, didn't really do anything touristy, didn't even really see the city. And then my girlfriend arrived. We went out and did a lot of tourist stuff, walked a ton. Budapest is beautiful. It was actually a little bit chilly, but not bad. The sun didn't come out too much, but when it did come out, it was gorgeous. There's a river they've got all these bridges and kind of the old school medieval castle look. I liked it. I had a good time. I know there's sort of a burgeoning entrepreneur expat scene there, and it was interesting. Like, it's cheaper than a lot of places in Europe. And English is spoken everywhere there. I didn't have any problems speaking English and being understood and understanding what's going on. It's got a lot of kind of unique things, Budapest does. The ruined pubs are kind of what it's known for the nightlife, and those are pretty cool. There's the one that we went to is the absolute most touristy one, Simplex, and it's huge, and it's just kind of cut out into this ruin. And it just goes. It's like it just keeps going. Like there's different rooms, and there's actually a little area where there's some graffiti on the wall, and that was pretty cool. Like, just reading all the graffiti, and but yeah, I think the ruined pubs are one of the highlights of Budapest. But there's a lot of other things to do. One thing I really liked was the baths. I went to 2 different bathhouses. I think they're called bathhouses. I don't know, but the first one was kind of. I wasn't too crazy about. The water was warm and actually felt really good afterwards, but it was kind of dark and it was indoors. It was kind of dingy. It seemed dingy, and it was all men, and they gave you a little apron to put on before going in. But I had my board shorts, so I didn't choose to use the apron. I just put on my shorts, and there was a few guys in there with shorts on, but a lot of guys were just walking around butt naked with an apron covering their junk. So it was not something I like to like. I don't usually like to sit in hot water with naked men, but it was it did feel kind of healing. I'm having shoulder issues, and it really kind of felt good. So I went another day. I went to a different bath place, and this one was amazing. There's 2 different pools. One was like warm, the other one was like really warm, and you could kind of go back and forth between them. Very clean, no naked people because it was a mix of men and women, and really liked that one. And then there was a pool. There's like 2 different pools, one indoor, one outdoor, and the outdoor pool was really picturesque. And we kind of like laid out, got a little sun. And they had a wave pool, so it was kind of like a constant wave going on. Not an actual wave you can surf, but just the water kind of moved. So that was kind of cool. So that was the extent of really my tourist stuff there. We walked around some of the squares, and we were staying in like the center of the tourist district. So kind of tough to get away from spending too much money at dinner and things like that. But overall, I enjoyed Budapest. and not somewhere I would want to stay for a long period of time. It's missing the water element. I mean, it has the river and then all the pools. It's a big swimming and water polo area, which is cool. I mean, there is water in terms of pools and things like that, but I like to have an ocean nearby or a lake or something like that where it just feels kind of expansive. Whereas Budapest, it just has the river. Not bad, but just not something somewhere I would stay long term. The people are nice. I had a lot of really good experiences talking to various people. Obviously, I don't know any Hungarian, so it was all in English. But then there's a few crabby people, I think, and my theory is that it's left over from the communist era. So there's some people, and a lot of times they're older, but not always, that you get this kind of rude response in customer service type of situations. Like at a grocery store, I had one there's like a farmer's market, and I just had a lady just snap at me, and it was not for any reason at all. I was just trying to like buy some blueberries, and she was not happy. You get a little more of that in Budapest than in Prague for sure, that kind of snappy attitude. But yeah, I really chalk it up to it's sort of leftover hangover from communism. And they actually say, we went on a little bike tour in all around Budapest, and bike tour was actually really good. I learned a few things, and it was enlightening, and had some strudel at the end, which was really tasty. The tour guide said that they call what they had when people were getting killed and the Soviets were occupying them, they call it socialism. So I wasn't sure exactly what she meant. She said that we distinguish it from communism, like it wasn't communism, it was socialism. And which is interesting because a lot of people in America think socialism is just a-okay and fine, but they definitely don't think that in Hungary. There's no question. But at the same time, I didn't know if she was saying like maybe she was saying communism would be better, but I don't know. That doesn't seem likely because communism is just the socialism taken out to its fullest extent, which means how many more people need to be killed. I don't know. But anyway, that's it's interesting the history that they've had going from a communist socialist place to a free marketplace and still kind of coming out of that, and things are still kind of growing there, and it's yeah, so it's really a good spot, I think, for a lot of people to consider at least visiting, and if not, staying there for a little longer. So then we moved on to Croatia. Croatia is beautiful, modern, clean, pretty cheap. A lot of English is spoken, really nice people, and I've been doing the thing where I'm trying to travel and work and travel, and it's really hard to do because I'm not burying my head in work, but I'm trying to do as much as I possibly can, but also trying to see the sights and go outside and do things, do fun things every day, do touristy things, get some sunshine. It's been a tough balance, I have to say. I don't know what the answer is. I've kind of experimented with a lot of different things. Like one is working in the morning and then going out in the afternoon, which doesn't really work here in Dubrovnik because it's super hot in the afternoon and the mornings are somewhat tolerable. But this has been more like working all day and then going out in the evening, like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock starts to get a little bit cooler. And so that works okay. But then it feels like you're inside all the time working, and doesn't really feel like you're seeing the place. So then I've experimented. So it's either doing splitting the day up, or yeah, I've done the thing where I go out and do things in the morning, then come back and work in the afternoon. That doesn't work at all for me. For some reason, the momentum it's not there. So I'm out there walking around, checking things out, and then I get home. And then I open up my computer, and then I just feel like taking a nap. So some things have worked okay, but overall, I don't know what the answer is. I think that the answer for me is what I was going to talk about next. Well, first I wanted to just mention that I highly recommend Croatia. It is just really, really nice place. I don't know. I can't say enough about it. It's beautiful. I mean, I'm looking out right now my window at this Dubrovnik old city. It's kind of like a walled off city with castles, and it's just amazing. And it's all surrounded by water. The ocean is right there. There's a little island right just 10-minute boat ride from Dubrovnik, and it's just yeah, it's really inspiring. It is all tourists here. It's just a tourist town. It's kind of like Venice, Italy. There's not a lot going on in Dubrovnik other than tourism. But it's on the prices in the city are really high. They're kind of like U.S. prices. But overall, Croatia is pretty cheap. Like most of the places we've gone, it's not cheap as Thailand, but it's definitely cheaper than the U.S. And I feel like it's a deal right now because they're not on the euro. They're still on the kuna, their currency, and so it's every pretty much everything you can think of is cheaper. The food, the places to stay, the drinks, everything is just significantly cheaper. I don't know what the percentages are, but I would say get here now soon rather than wait because it's probably going to be. I mean, it's already really crowded in the summer because all the Europeans come down here, but it may be in the next couple of years it may be that everybody's shifting from seeing some of the traditional places like Italy and France and coming over to Croatia. So yeah, I would get here. I would also recommend coming in the spring or fall when it's not as crowded and slightly less hot. So probably be a little more tolerable. But and also the one thing that I think the myth about Croatia is that it has these amazing beaches, and it's not true. I'm really a beach person, so I'm really kind of picky about my beaches, and there are no beaches here. It's cliffs and rocks, but there are actually I shouldn't say there are no beaches. There are beaches with pebbles, which is actually not too bad. I mean, you can put your towel down, and the pebble beaches are pretty cool. We went to one in Split. I was in Split just a few days ago, and we went to a beach there, and it was really nice beach. And the water is warm, but not as warm as you would think for being kind of a somewhat tropical place. But it's nice. It's kind of refreshing. Been getting in the water just about every day here, and yeah, just really enjoying it. Yeah, Split is very touristy as well, but it's also got it's kind of like people live there. You can see it's not just tourism. So and then Dubrovnik is the tourist spot. The place we were before that was called Fleet Beach, and it's a waterfall area. There's like tons and tons of waterfalls, and I hadn't realized it, but it's like a tourist trap. I mean, just the waterfall area itself. It's like you walk through and you see all these different waterfalls. There's actually a wooden path that goes around, and it's really pretty, and it's really nice and worth doing. But again, spring and fall would be the time to go. We were waiting kind of in line at certain areas to see waterfalls, which is kind of annoying. So that leads me to my next point. I have learned that I am not really a tourist, and I'm more of just a traveler, and I don't really like tours. I don't like doing tourist stuff. I don't really care about castles. I don't care about history that much. I mean, I do care about history, but I don't care about the dates and the wars and all that. I could do without it. I think that this is something that's really become apparent on this trip to Europe that I've taken. So I go to these places and I just say, okay, I'm going, I'm in, I'm going to do this thing that everyone's doing, and then within a couple minutes, I'm bored and I'm annoyed. I'm bored because I don't really care about the wars that happened in the past, and I'm annoyed because there's so many people, it's crowded, and and the reason I came up with, I just realized it on this trip. The reason I go on these tours, but then get annoyed and bored, and I keep doing it over and over, is that I have FOMO. I have fear of missing out. And it's very strong when I go to these tourist places because I see all these people and they're all doing this, or I hear about it, and I just feel like if I don't do it, I'm going to miss out. But I already know myself now. I know that if I miss the castle tour, if I miss the old town tour, whatever it is, I'll be just fine. And I could even miss 90% of the tourist spots and I could be totally fine. I like to work and I like to walk. And if I can just experience the city for the people, and if I can get work done and I can have some of the local food, things like that, I'm happy. I don't really need to know all about the castle and the war in 1487 and the kings and the queens and all the religious battles and the churches, and I just have no interest in that. So I'm wondering if anyone listening can relate to me here because I feel like I'm in the really minority. I think people really are into this stuff, but I've been doing it for a while, and I finally am realizing that I can be perfectly happy to skip most of the things out there. I like to get in the ocean. I like nature. I like to do some hiking, things like that. But as far as all this stuff, I think it really it comes down to the history that most people will give you is about dates, battles, kings, priests, and politicians. And I don't want to hear about those things. So, that's what it kind of comes down to. I'd like to hear maybe more about what's going on today in the city. I mean, of course, you can read that on online and Wikipedia and things like that. But that's what I really am more interested in. And it was interesting to hear about Croatia. They had a war only 20 years ago. There was a war between Croatia and Serbia, I think, and so they were still fighting for their independence back then. It used to be Yugoslavia, and now it's broken up into all these countries. And they were actually, their city here, Dubrovnik, was getting bombed in the 90s. So it's like not that long ago. So it's kind of interesting, and that gives me hope, though, to hear that that seems like a thing of the past. Like, it doesn't seem, this place is about as peaceful as you can get now. And so I think that the more these nations can break off from each other without violence, preferably, the better off everyone is going to be, and ultimately come down to the smallest minority that exists, which is the individual. So if we can all have be our own country and be our own leader, that would be ideal. But I think that the smaller the country, the better at this point. And I think that's just the point in time we are in, which is, I think, is progress. Even though it's not the ultimate freedom, it's still, I think, a lot better than what it was 20 years ago and beyond. So that's my positive spin on it. So today I want to talk about the 5 ways that traveling can be a boost to your business. So it seems like, and I've even complained about this on this trip, that when you travel, it's hard to get things done. It's hard to work and travel. And to an extent, I do believe that. It is very hard sometimes to be able to do everything you want to do and also get your work done when you're in a new location. But I also see that there are many benefits to travel and work. Number 1 is your time has to be focused. I mentioned how I was doing things and working in the mornings and then working in the afternoons and things like that. You can kind of structure it so that, like, if you can figure you have 3 hours to work in a day, and the rest of the time you're going to be seeing things, doing things. So those 3 hours are going to be way more productive. At least in my case, I'll be way more productive in those 3 hours than I will in a 6-hour stretch when I'm back home, because I'm in the 3 hours that I'm working, I know that I have to just be working because I'm going to be out and about after that. So, and I like to do it definitely in the mornings, do the work in the mornings, and then spend the rest of the day doing the sightseeing, as long as the weather is cooperating. But another thing you can do is do 1 day of work, 100% work, nothing else. Don't do any sightseeing. Don't go out of your house, or maybe just go for walks, and then do the next day where you're not working. You're just seeing things. So that can work as well. I've done a little bit of that. Number 2 is you get a different perspective. So being in the same place all the time will stagnate you. It definitely stagnates me. I love the place that I spend the most time, which is San Diego. But I can't stay there for like a year at a time because I feel very stuck and stagnant, and I don't feel like things are progressing. When I get out and travel, I feel like things are moving. Things are like, I'm getting things done. I'm coming up with new ideas. It's just a refreshing thing. And I think without the travel, I would not be progressing as much. So number 3 is you will gain respect from people you correspond with. So I have a lot of things that I'm working on, and this can work both ways. This can also be, people can be upset that you're on a different time zone. They can be upset that you're traveling, that you're not taking things seriously. But I also found that people see that you're traveling, that you're getting things done while you're working, and it sort of gives you this level of respect of like, hey, this guy's actually doing what he talks about. He's like getting things done, and he's living over in whatever, Europe or whatever it is. So that one is something you have to kind of just have confidence with. And number 4 is you may find other opportunities that you didn't see while staying at home. So when you travel, you're obviously going to meet people, you're going to see things, you're going to just kind of get time away from the day-to-day, and it kind of brings up opportunities. And I've definitely come up with a lot of opportunities since I've been traveling in Europe. And I've thought of all kinds of different things that I could do. So I think it's well worth it just for that. And then number 5, you can save money. So this one, it's kind of one of those things that I think is a myth, that when you travel, you're just spending money and you need to save up for your trips and things like that. I don't believe in that. I think that you can work it out. If you really want to travel, you can work it out so that you are saving money. And I've talked about this on previous podcasts, but basically, you don't want to be paying rent back home and traveling, that can actually cost you money. But you want to actually move out of your place, don't have a place you're continually paying on. And if you can, sell your car, get rid of all your things that you're paying on back home, and then you can travel for a while. And even if it's just a month or 2 months, you're saving money. If as long as you're not living in, trying to stay in the most luxurious places. This trip, I've definitely been saving money over what I pay in rent in San Diego, and also just food costs. Everything is, I'm definitely saving quite a bit of money here. Of course, there are little excursions that you do, but that's the nice thing is if you're making money while you travel, those excursions, you don't feel. I mean, you can afford them. You don't feel bad about it. It's just part of your day-to-day living. So again, just to repeat the five ways that traveling can be a boost to your business. Number one is your time has to be focused. Number two is you get a different perspective. Three, you will gain respect from people you correspond with. Four, you may find other opportunities that you didn't see staying at home. And five is saving money. That's about all I had for the podcast today. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you're having a great time, whatever you're doing this summer. And if you want to help us out, please go to iTunes and give us a rating and review on the Freedom Loving Podcast. Really appreciate that. And today I'm going to play a song from one of my favorite bands, the Silver Sun Pickups, and this one's called The Comeback Kid. Take care, go out there and build some freedom, and we'll talk to you soon.
With words define our social gestures. No one could have known what the comeback kid did. No words can describe our social pressures. At least the time when the comeback kid wins. Yeah, wins. Define all our social gestures. No one could have known what the comeback kid did. No one